You're listening to Leveling Up, and I'm Ariel, your host. Hello out there. Welcome back to Leveling Up with Ariel Miller. This is Ariel, and I'm your host. This is episode 12, Sorry Not Sorry. Ever follow up with someone who was supposed to get something done and preface the conversation with, I'm sorry too? Ever walk into your boss's office or up to a colleague seeking help to ask a question or simply just because you're doing your job and start with, ooh, I'm sorry to bother you, but... How about this? Have you ever eaten at a restaurant and for whatever reason there's an issue with your food? Maybe it's not cooked the way you specified. It's missing something you asked for. It's not hot. Or hell, it's not even what you ordered, but you proceed to suffer through it. Wondering whether you should say something or not, so you keep eating or you pick at your food. And with each passing bite, you wonder, should I say something? What if I do? What will happen? I don't know what will happen. You're worried that by saying something to the server or by sending it back that it'll make you look bad or that it's going to appear like you're difficult or, quote, that person with your group. And we know nobody wants to be that person with the group. Finally, you just can't take it anymore, this dialogue in your head, and you muster up the courage to politely inform the server that the meal you were given was not what you asked for. And mind you, by the way, this is a meal that you're paying for, but you apologize to the server by saying, I'm sorry, I don't want to be a pain, but... Yep, we've all been there. You know what I mean. Apologizing and or suffering in silence because you were afraid that by asking for what you needed or by speaking up, that it would put others out, bother them, or disrupt them. So why do we do this? Why do we, and perhaps more specifically, I guess I shall say, why do women feel the need to be overly apologetic? I have a few theories on this personally, but I think that many women are afraid to speak up for fear of coming across as bitchy, bossy, or too demanding. After all, no one wants to be the person who is perceived as having unrelentingly high standards, and heaven forbid you should tell the nail lady that she's gouging the fuck out of your fingernails while mining for cuticles. Girls, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Ugh. Why is it so hard for us just to speak up without the I'm sorry preceding what we need or what we wish? Here's what I think. Women, much more than our male counterparts, spend more of our time or their time, or our time, it depends, right? Worrying about how others perceive them. So ultimately, this element of self-doubt and insecurity plays a major role in the way we interact with others. For example, being liked and accepted by our peers and having the approval of higher-ups is important to us. Now, that's not to say that those values aren't important to men. But recently, while reading my book, Like She Owns the Place, I came across some interesting information stating that some research suggests that women are so worried about coming off as rude that we apologize when we really should be direct. Furthermore, according to psychological science, women do have a much lower threshold for what constitutes offensive behavior. In turn, this causes women to apologize more, even when women should be assertive. Therefore, it causes us women to use I'm sorry as a buffer to smooth things over when in many cases it's actually the other person who should be saying it. Can you relate to this? Does this all sound too familiar? What's more is I'm sorry has become this knee-jerk kind of response when we're caught doing something we know we shouldn't be doing. Such as, talking when the teacher is talking. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That may just apply to me and other teachers out there, but I want you to think about it for a second. How many times have you responded to a glaring look or request with, oh, I'm sorry? And not because you were truly sorry, but because that's what one has come to accept as an appropriate response for one's perceived undesirable behavior. Here's what I'll say as a teacher. I'm keenly aware of the I'm sorry. And I work really hard with my students over the course of the school year to teach them to not excessively apologize and the value of an earnest apology. So, for example, when little Kevin is talking for the 50th time and I've asked him to stop and he rotely replies, sorry, I retort, don't say sorry, just don't do it again. Now, I know that seems pretty harsh, but in reality, I don't feel like it's anything other than cultivating better humans. ones that understand what an apology truly and authentically looks like, and to finally put a stop to this nonsensical, overdone, and excessive need to apologize constantly. For the love of God, stop the insanity. After all, what good is an apology if they are so common that their actual meaning gets lost in translation? Now, coming back to the why of it all is important. I think what it boils down to is that people are afraid of conflict and offending someone. But also it's more than that. As a species, we are nurturing and kind beings, so willfully harming someone goes against our very biology. But you must understand that asking for what you want or need does not make you a bitch. And being assertive doesn't make you difficult. Having high standards for yourself and demanding excellence of yourself and others isn't something you should ever apologize for. Ever. Shit. Own it. Having high standards and maintaining them requires work, and hard work at that. So don't ever lower your expectations or apologize for being you, doing you, and shining pretty damn bright. See, the thing of it all is this. Men who are assertive and vocal are seen as in control, confident, and are respected. Conversely, women who unapologetically seize what they want are often labeled, quote, high maintenance, divas, or princesses. First, as women, we need to stop doing this and hating on one another. Enough is enough. Second, men need to stop feeling threatened and by educated, confident, intelligent, and assertive women, and must be held accountable for the sexist labels that they slap upon women. And finally, as a society, and I'm going out there with society because it needs to be much bigger than just a gender situation, but we have a moral obligation to rewriting this narrative and archaic way in which we see and label successful and self-assured women, thus allowing others to thrive. So whether you are a man or a woman, you should never, ever apologize for chasing the things that you love. And furthermore, we mustn't allow others to tear us down, and we shouldn't take it and then apologize for it. The behavior we accept from others is a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves. So why on earth are you still apologizing for pursuing what you want? Or for cutting off an unhealthy relationship or friend? Or for asking for the raise that you rightfully deserve? Or for saying no to the man or woman making unwanted sexual advances towards you? Why? I ask you why. Speaking up and using your voice is the greatest gift you can ever give yourself. What's more is that it starts to open the door for others to follow suit. So how can you start standing up for yourself and stop saying I'm sorry? Well, here are a few things I wanted to pass along. There's no need to say I'm sorry when accidentally bumping into someone. Simply reply with pardon me or excuse me. When sharing your feelings and expressing yourself to someone, rather than starting the conversation with, I'm sorry, but this is how I feel, simply start off by saying, I feel. And my personal favorite, when following up with someone, because you never have to follow up with someone, that person that you emailed days ago, the one that you keep refreshing your email in vain for, eagerly awaiting their response to find that you've received emails from your college roommate from 20 years ago, your grandmother, and your seventh cousin twice removed, but not the person you need to hear from, that person, my suggestion, perhaps reach back out to them. Maybe even call them, but let's not get too crazy. However, if you are compelled to send another email, instead of starting off with, I'm sorry for following up, simply say, I am following up. It really boils down to owning you're awesome, right? Now, I know that all of this is going to take time for you, for us, for me, for everyone. But I think that it comes back to men, women, people, and all of us taking back our power, standing in it, and feeling confident enough in ourselves to know that we are worthy to say what we want and when, all without needing to feel sorry or even guilty for it. So this is going to take time, and it's going to require practice. So here's a suggestion that I have. Perhaps start by keeping a little notebook or memo in your phone, noting each time an incident you are compelled to apologize for something that you do not need to apologize for. Track your progress, then reflect on it, and actively work to make the changes so that the assertive and best you can do what you need to do and not be sorry for it. Thank you so much for listening to Leveling Up with Ariel Miller. As always, it was a pleasure and a joy to bring this to you. If you like the things that we do and the things that we say, please make sure to like, follow, subscribe, rate, and follow me on the Instagram at Ariel_Miller. Until next time, love you, mean it. Mwah!